Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu Nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavati uttama shloke Bhakti bhavati naishtike. Thank you very much. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, Chapter 9, entitled The Supreme Character of Jad Bharat. Text number 15. Atha panaya satanga swa vidhina abhisichyahatena vasasa achatya Pushana alepasrak tilaka adibhi upaskritam bhuktavantam dhupa deepa malya laja kisalaya ankura phala upaharupateya vaishasa sanstaya mahata gita stuti mridanga panava goshena cha Purusha Pashum Bhadrakalyaha Purata Upaveshayam Asu. Please repeat. Atha. Thereafter. Panayaha. All the followers of the dacoits. Tam. Him. Jad Bharat. Swavidina, according to their own ritualistic principles. Abhisitya, bathing. Ahatena, with new. Vasasa, garments. Achadya, covering. Bhushana, ornaments. Alepa, smearing the body with sandalwood pulp. Srak, a flower garland. Tilaka adibhi, with markings on the body, and so on. Upaskritam, completely decorated. Bhuktavantam, having eaten. Thupa, with incense. Deepa, lamps. Malya, garlands. Larger, parched grain. Kisalaya ankura, twigs and sprouts. Phala, fruits. Upahara, other paraphernalia. Upetaya, fully equipped. Vaishasa sanstaya, with complete arrangements for sacrifice. Mahata, great. Gita Stuti, of songs and prayers. mridanga, of the drums, panava, of the bugles, ghoshena, by vibration, cha, also, purusha pashum, the man animal, bhadra kalyaha, of the goddess Kali, purata, just in front, upaveshyam asuhu, made him sit down. Translation. After this, all the thieves, according to their imaginative ritual for killing animalistic men, bathed Jad Bharat, dressed him in new clothes, decorated him with ornaments befitting an animal, smeared his body with scented oils, and decorated him with tilak, sandalwood pulp, and garlands. They fed him sumptuously and then brought him before the goddess Kali, offering her incense, lamps, garlands, parched grain, newly grown twigs, sprouts, fruits, and flowers. In this way, they worshipped the deity before killing the man animal. And they vibrated songs and prayers and played drums and bugles. Jad Bharat was then made to sit down before the deity. Please repeat. After this, all the thieves, according to their imaginative ritual for killing animalistic men, bathed Jad Bharat, dressed him in new clothes, decorated him with ornaments befitting an animal, smeared his body with scented oils, and decorated him with tilak, sandalwood pulp, and garlands. They fed him sumptuously and then brought him before the goddess Kali, offering her incense, lamps, garlands, parched grain, newly grown twigs, sprouts, fruits, and flowers. In this way, they worshipped the deity before killing the man animal, and they vibrated songs and prayers and played drums and bugles. Jad Bharat was then made to sit down before the deity. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the word swavidina, according to their own ritualistic principles, is very significant. According to the Vedic Shastras, everything must be done according to regulative principles. But here, it is stated that the thieves and rogues devised their own process for killing an animalistic man. The Tamasic Shastras give instructions for the sacrifice of an animal like a goat or buffalo before the goddess Kali. But there is no mention of killing a man, however dull he may be. This process was manufactured by the dacoits themselves. Therefore the word swavidina is used. Even at this time, there are many sacrifices being conducted without reference to the Vedic scriptures. For instance, in Calcutta, recently a slaughterhouse was being advertised as a temple of the goddess Kali. Meat eaters foolishly purchase meat from such shops, thinking it different from ordinary meat and taking it to be the prasad of goddess Kali. The sacrifice of a goat or a similar animal before the goddess Kali is mentioned in Shastras just to keep people from eating slaughterhouse meat and becoming responsible for the killing of animals. The conditioned soul has a natural tendency towards sex and meat eating. Consequently, the Shastras grant them some concessions. Actually, the Shastras aim at putting an end to these abominable activities, but they impart some regulative principles so that gradually meat eaters and sex hunters will be rectified. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurana Militangena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out Shruti Smriti Puranadi Panchratri Vidhim Vina Aikantiki Hare Bhakti Utpateva Kalpate. That when we perform any activity which is not sanctioned, which is not directed within the Shruti, Smriti, Purana, Adi, authoritative literature, then our activities, they cause a disturbance. Utpateva kalpate. This disturbance is not just harmless disturbance. It actually has many consequences, which are harmful to the person who indulges in activities that are not sanctioned. Now, somebody may say, well, sacrifice to Kali is mentioned in the scripture. Now, this is the point, that the prescription has to be followed exactly. You cannot change something, because the protest will be, well, there is sanction for making a sacrifice. And this is a person who is more or less an animal, even though he's on two legs. So it's called, the word here is Pashu, Purusha Pashu. Purusha Pashu. So one is making a logical a kind of, it seems like it's appropriate, but it is a speculation because it is not what is said. Swavidhina, it's made according to your own idea. So likewise, a sadhana bhakta, a person following rules and regulations, has to follow them exactly. If he starts to micromanage, adjust, well, like this, with some logic, eventually what will happen is he will fall foul of the injunction of the scriptures. And now he will be subject to consequences. So this is a kind of a caution to us. We're not worshipping Goddess Kali. We're not dacoits. But they think that they are doing some kind of aradhana, something sanctioned. The verse earlier mentioned that he was desirous of a son. Apatyakama. He wanted a son. And he thought, this is how I will get a son. Kali would be pleased with the sacrifice of a goat, but she'll be even more pleased because this is a man animal. Purusha Pashu. This is the kind of logic. But this kind of logic, as we will soon find out, is not something Mother Kali actually agreed with. So we have to be careful. This caution is there that it is better to veer on the side of caution rather than to take a risk in extrapolating, in trying to think, I can adjust rules and regulations. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned two restrictions in the purport, meat eating and sex. So both of these, he mentions, have to be restricted, if not completely zero, like not indulged in at all. So the idea of the sanction is with the view to restriction. So this is something Rupa Goswami mentions in the Nectar of Instruction, Niyamagraha, that one should follow the rules and regulations with the purpose behind them, serving the purpose behind them, neither following them fanatically, defeating the purpose, nor neglecting them whimsically. So both those things have to be avoided. So what helps to follow the rule and regulation is to understand the purpose behind it. That way you can't go wrong. So meat eating, sex life are restricted. They're not encouraged. They're discouraged. So whenever you think of some kind of adjustment, you have to think with the spirit behind the restriction, which is to discourage it, not to encourage it. And it's with that view in mind that marriage institution is there. It's to actually discourage it. Because you have to take a vow of responsibility. So how many relationships are you willing to enter where you have this responsibility for as many women as you will marry? So naturally you say one is enough. That's if you understand the spirit. But if you don't understand the spirit, what you do is you marry, you divorce, you marry, you divorce. Now you defeated the purpose behind the restriction. So, Shishi Gaurnitai, Shishi Krishna Balaram, Shishi Radha Shyam Sundar Ki Jai. The marriage institution was there so that you can curb this desire for sex life. You can restrict it. You can control it. Now if you keep on marrying and divorce, you're defeating the purpose. It's not going to help you. Now you may say, well, I'm monogamous. I'm not being a bigamist. I don't have more than one wife at one time, you see. So that's the intelligence. Maya Prita Jnana tells you that you are being faithful to the restriction. I haven't broken the law. In countries in the West, generally they don't allow polygamy. So he thinks by marrying, divorce, marry, divorce, I've observed the law. And yes, the law even permits that, but it is defeating the purpose behind the restriction, which was to curb it, which was not only to curb it, but that you no longer have a desire for it, if you do it correctly. So now we're talking about the dacoits. They're predisposed for being tamasic, for being in the mode of ignorance. So their care and concern, their faithfulness to scripture is tamasic, is mode of ignorance. It's very cavalier, it's not very faithful. So now they've made this adjustment in their mind. Oh, because just like we find people, they come with flower garlands. So obviously the flower sellers, they're saying this is a good one. This is better than this one. There's more flowers, bigger flowers, but it's a little bit more rupees. So a person thinks, okay, this is better. So the dacoits, they think, well, I should be sacrificing a goat. But here's a man animal, better than a goat. It's a better flower garland for Kali. So, but this is the foolish thinking. There is a mistake. So if we also follow rules and regulations and we forget the purpose behind them, we will become entangled in this kind of mess. And this is called utpateva kalpate. You cause a disturbance. You cause a disturbance in your own life. You set an example that others will follow, thinking that is, oh, he did it, I can do it like that too. So a whole chain is set up which disturbs society altogether. So therefore a devotee, an aspiring devotee, he is among the leaders of society. So he has to be very careful that what he does is in keeping with the scriptural injunction and the spirit behind those injunctions. So that takes us to another interesting topic of Jat Bharat himself. Is Bharat Maharaj's life something we should be following? Is his example one we should follow? The answer is yes, you should follow. But you must understand the spirit behind Jat Bharat Maharaj's activities. You cannot imitate him, but there is a lesson that Bharat Maharaj is teaching through his example. Very nice example. I'd like to share that with you. Externally, we're seeing that he is acting like a madman. Now, everyone knows being mad is not a qualification for spiritual life. That's not the measure. If you say, well, I'm mad, that means I'm more advanced. That's not actually correct. Bharat Maharaj, in fact, is following. There are a number of verses in the Gita that describe the behavior of Bharat Maharaj. But I picked these few verses from chapter 6, starting with text 20. Yatro paramate chittam Nirudham yoga sevaya Yatra chaivatmanatmanam Pashyan atmani tushyati Sukham atyantikam yattat Buddhi grayam atindriyam Veti yatra na chaivayam Stitas chalati tatvata Yam labdva chaparam labham Manyate nadikam tata Yasmin stito na dukhena Gurunapi vichalyate Tam vidya dukha sanyoga Viyoga yoga sangitam. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. This is Bharat Maharaj's state. He is experiencing Krishna within his heart, and he's experiencing susukam kartam, he's experiencing bliss, he's joyful. And he's so much in bliss, and he's so much absorbed, he's unconscious of his surroundings. He's unaware. So he's not going through an act. He's not contriving. You know this word, contriving. He's not trying to say, well, this is where I have to grit my teeth, and this is where I do like this. He's not forcing each of his senses to act like that. It's natural consequence of his absorption in Krishna and Krishna consciousness. Earlier it was described he was absorbed in Shravanam Kirtanam. He was very much in a Krishna consciousness. So he is not a mad person. A mad to others, but in his actual condition, he was in a trance. He was in samadhi. And interestingly, Krishna says that established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. So he's not looking for alternatives. He's not looking for opportunities to enhance his situation. He feels he's in the best situation possible, and he's absorbed in that. Vyavasaya atmika buddhi. He's undisturbed. And the last part is very interesting. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. So, what could be more difficult than somebody about to sacrifice you, to chop your head off? That's great difficulty. But he is not shaken. So, Bharat Maharaj is not pretending. He is undisturbed. He's unaware, and he could not care less. It doesn't matter. Srila Prabhupada, first of all, in the purport, explains quite a bit about yoga. But the last paragraph is interesting. As long as the material body exists, one has to meet the demands of the body, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. But a person who is in pure bhakti yoga or in Krishna consciousness does not arouse the senses while meeting the demands of the body. Rather, he accepts the bare necessities of life, making the best use of a bad bargain, and enjoys transcendental happiness in Krishna consciousness. He is callous toward incidental occurrences such as accidents, disease, scarcity, and even the death of a most dear relative. But he is always alert to execute his duties in Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. Accidents never deviate him from his duty. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Agama apaina anitya tan stitikshasva bharata. He endures all such incidental occurrences because he knows that they come and go and do not affect his duties. In this way, he achieves the highest perfection in yoga practice. Now there's a nice reference given in the Veda base. It's from a lecture Srila Prabhupada gave on this verse in New York in 1966. It's a little long, but I'll share some of it with you. And then if you have any questions, I'll take them. Every one of us is searching for happiness, but we do not know what real happiness is. Real happiness is described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. We feel happiness through our senses. Inanimate things cannot feel happiness or distress. Developed consciousness feels happiness and distress more than undeveloped consciousness. So skipping a little bit. Atindriyam. Ati indriyam. Take the example of a dead man. The senses, the hands, the nose, the sense organs and everything are there. But now he cannot enjoy them. The dead body cannot enjoy anything. Enjoyment requires intelligence. The interesting thing is that in this lecture, the enjoyment we crave is actually spiritual. Because the nature of enjoyment is you look for reciprocation. So dead matter cannot reciprocate. Only a living being can reciprocate. The person with the fullest ability to reciprocate is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When a devotee actually experiences Krishna's reciprocation, he experiences happiness which allows him to transcend sense gratification. So sense gratification is the lowest form of happiness a living entity can experience. So if you are distracted by that, then you can understand the level of your elevation of consciousness. In other words, it's not there. Because that's the lowest. You can't go lower than sense gratification. Now, of course, sense gratification is three kinds: goodness, passion, and ignorance. But it's a variety of the same category. So you might think that enjoyment in a skyscraper is better than enjoyment in the gutter. Maybe, but it's an academic difference. It's sense gratification. But if you're on the spiritual path, there is spiritual experience which is not dependent on whether you're on the gutter or you're in a skyscraper. It's transcendental. So Bharat Maharaj, so this is what you can follow. This is what you can imitate. Is this absorption in becoming Krishna conscious, tasting spiritual happiness. Because then you can transcend. Now, Bharat Maharaj was in a particular kind of difficulty, which might test most of us. When somebody's physically getting hold of you to kill you. But without the drama, we're all being subjected to difficulties. We're undergoing things we do not want: old age, disease, and inevitably our own death. So these things disturb a living entity. But not if you are spiritually absorbed. One time, Srila Prabhupada was asked in a morning walk, Prabhupada, they're saying there's going to be a third world war with nuclear bombs. Should devotees do something to prepare for that? Srila Prabhupada said, yes, we should prepare, we should chant Hare Krishna. This is the answer. They were thinking maybe we should have bunkers, We should have devotees in a safe place, in a place where the bombs may not fall. Maybe we should move away. This was in LA, in Venice Beach. So if you know, there's a fault line, St. Andreas Fault, which if there is some kind of bombs and earthquakes, that place is destined to go in the ocean, into the water. So they thought maybe, relocation. Srila Prabhupada said no. This was and Prabhupada quoted this verse. He quoted this line. He said, Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate na adhikam tata yasmin stito na dukkhena guru na api vichalyate. Even under the greatest danger, he is not disturbed. Having gained this, he thinks there is no other greater gain. So he's saying this is how a devotee should be. He should not feel that he has to do something different under difficult circumstances. What we're doing is what we should be doing at the time of our death, at the time of great tragedy and disturbance. So that's what Bharat Maharaj is teaching the aspiring devotee. He is a devotee who is so absorbed in samadhi. He is not stopping his Krishna consciousness to deal with this new situation. Prabhupada writes in one of the purports that he was strong enough, he was very strong. He was strong enough to fight with these dacoits, but he did not do so. Completely depending on the Supreme Lord. Rakshishyatiti Vishwaso. So devotee, he is very Krishna conscious. He is not body conscious. He is not mind conscious. He is Krishna conscious. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please ask, but I'll just read the translation one more time. After this, all the thieves, according to their imaginative ritual for killing animalistic men, bathed Jat Bharat, dressed him in new clothes, decorated him with ornaments befitting an animal, smeared his body with scented oils, and decorated him with tilak, sandalwood pulp, and garlands. They fed him sumptuously, and then brought him before the goddess Kali, offering her incense, lamps, garlands, parched grain, newly grown twigs, sprouts, fruits and flowers. In this way they worshipped the deity before killing the man animal. And they vibrated songs and prayers and played drums and bugles. I mean, it's amazing. Huh? They're doing arti and they're doing kirtan. All for killing a man. It's quite elaborate. They're quite they're doing it like wholeheartedly, like not just minimum. They went to a great lengths. It's amazing. But it was foolish. It was a concoction. Not authorized. But they're doing it so faithfully. So nicely. So doing something nicely is not the measure of something being bona fide. You have to consult the scriptures. And it has to be as it is. Not as you would like it, The famous joke, Bhagavad Gita as I would like it. It has to be as it is. As Krishna likes it. And Krishna does like it in a certain way. And this is Krishna's instruction, chapter 6, text 20. He's telling that this is what he would like, is a person to be in Krishna consciousness with this kind of symptoms. So thank you very much. No more mics. There's a mic at the back. Does it come on the speaker? Yeah, mic stand.